Greetings and welcome to Marvel Basics with your boy BMarvel. So this week I will be discussing and reviewing Captain America: The First Avenger. This movie comes from Paramount and Marvel Studios, and it was directed by Joe Johnston, and it was released July 22nd of 2011. July was a pretty good month for this movie to come out in because it is a World War II movie, so why not with, Independence Day going on, capitalize on the America feels. So this movie it's pretty decent. My favorite part about the movie is the storytelling and the character development. Steve Rogers is absolutely perfect. We meet him as a scrawny little kid from the Bronx that just wants to join the army and put his life on the line for his country. He says that any other man's doing it, who's he to not do the same? The casting was fantastic as well. Peggy Carter, played by Haley Atwell. She is phenomenal, fierce. Not my favorite love interest as far as females go in the MCU. Pepper Potts still has that. The way that her and Tony interact, great. But watching him not. The story of Captain America is different than most superhero stories. They get this power, they learn how to use it, and they become a completely different person. With Steve Rogers, he was already this remarkable human being to begin with. Him becoming a super soldier was just an added bonus. He does what he thinks is right, he's very passionate, and he's always that guy that you want on your side. So, with that, watching the train scene. So when they're on the train fighting, him and Bucky Barnes and everyone else fighting on the Hydra train, I feel like that scene could have been better, but it paid off seeing how tragic it was for Steve Rogers to lose Bucky Barnes, and he was played by Sebastian Stan. Watching Bucky fall down, it was sad. It was him losing his best friend that he had since childhood. They grew up together, and he saved him once just to lose him again, and it's traumatic. And then it was also sad to see that Captain America can't even get drunk thanks to the thanks to the super soldier serum. His metabolism's way too quick for him to get drunk. So you lose your best friend, you try to calm the feelings, and you can't even get there. So that was funny but sad. This movie does have a couple issues though. Like, one of my biggest issues with this movie is the 3D scenes where it's like super CGI, Captain America swinging around with a bunch of explosions, which leads into my second issue is the battle montage. Most of the battle scenes in this movie is like a montage. You see Captain America, explosions, Captain America, tanks, Captain America, Hydra soldiers. Like, it was never like a full steady fight that was worth watching or really displayed his super soldierness, if that makes sense. Even the final battle scene with him and the Red Skull, yeah, they were going tit for tat, and then they tried to do the no gravity with the plane diving down. That just looks super choppy, and like strings were heavily involved. Not great. Storytelling, though, the movie was great. But as far as like action, comic book, it was a little shaky. I mean, Chris Evans is fantastic for the part, but that was probably the best thing. Another issue I had is that this is not a really strong World War II movie. Like, I get it with the Nazis and trying to make it war related, but it really didn't add too much to the movie, nor did it really take away from it. I feel like that it was just the period piece of where Captain America came from, and it really didn't work as like a Nazi organization that's Hydra. Just really didn't do it for me. Well, out of the three Captain America movies, this is the weakest, but it's still entertaining to watch how our hero see where he comes from and how he shapes and molds into the hero that we need him to be for the upcoming Infinity War, which is going to be wild. So here are some of the Easter eggs that I found while watching Captain America: The First Avenger. So in the beginning of the movie, we see that Shield is cutting into ice and they're scaling down where they find Captain America and the Tesseract. In the back, there's like a silhouette of a tree, and also where the Red Skull got the Tesseract from, that little cube box thing that he pressed on and pulled out of the wall. There's also another tree silhouette there, and that's the Asgardian tree, and it's the tree of life, and that's where all of life stems from. So that was there for when they first found Cap, and where they first found Cap and the Tesseract in the newer day, and then in the past where Red Skull found it. Next is during the Stark Expo, as soon as the scene begins, you see that there's a red costume up front, and in that tube, that's the costume of the Human Torch from the 1940s. So the Human Torch is part of Fantastic Four, along with Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and The Thing. But they're not part of the MCU because their rights are owned by Fox Studios. So there's no crossing or anything like that, but it was just a cool nod to see that costume's there. Next is Howard Stark and flying cars. So Howard Stark had an obsession with trying to make things fly, hover, and everything like that. It was his technology that later on resulted in SHIELD having their Quinjets. And also, probably I wouldn't even say where Tony pulled his knowledge from for that, because he was kind of dead. He kind of died before Tony grew up and started doing his Iron Man suit. But the technology and the fascination still there for both of them. So next is that montage of Captain America fighting Hitler and him saying that he's done it a million times. There was the first comic book issue that came out March 1941, was a picture of Captain America fighting Hitler, and it was one of those comic books that came out during a time of need, and it was trying to morale the country together, like Superman did and like Captain America. I mean, shit, it has America in the name. Next, I have the vibranium shield that right before Peggy shoots at him, which was pretty funny, not gonna lie. So Howard's talking about the shield, and he's saying that it's the strongest metal in the world, that it's super rare to come by, it comes from Wakanda, and the way that vibranium works is that it absorbs the vibrations of being hit and then sends it out. So you'll see, if Thor's hammer slams on it, there's an effect from that. The bullets crumble, but the vibrations shoot out, if that makes sense. Next, I have Stan Lee showing up. He's sitting there when they're calling for Captain America to come out to, I think it's accept an award or do a press conference. It's one or the other. I'm 50-50 on that. But you have Stan Lee dressed as a general or colonel, whichever is the highest rank. And he was like, I thought he would be taller. So that was pretty funny. And then my last Easter egg is at the end of the movie, after Captain America and Red Skull are fighting, you see him holding the Tesseract, and you see an Asgardian sky, and Red Skull teleports. He teleports off the hoverjet, and he's sent off somewhere in space. Not sure where. He hasn't resurfaced yet in the MCU. I thought for a little while that he would show up in Infinity War and possibly team up with Thanos and see if it would be like multiple villains versus the Avengers. But I don't think that we're going to gear towards that because they've already confirmed that Thanos is going to use the children of Thanos or the Black Order. So, see how that pans out. So next, let's talk about the box office numbers coming from boxofficemojo.com. So Captain America was budgeted for $140 million. Opening weekend, it made $65 million. It was number one in 3,715 different theaters. Domestically, the film made $176.6 million. Foreign, it made $193.9 million, giving it a full worldwide combined total of $370.5 million. So as far as opening weekends go, Iron Man 2 is still holding the number one spot, followed by Iron Man, and then Thor. After that, we have Captain America sitting at 65 million. And then last is Hulk. Oh, God, Hulk. Oh, that movie we just all have to deal with. It's kind of sad to see that Captain America wasn't able to make more than Thor, but I guess action-wise, Thor had more. But storytelling-wise, Captain America was the better movie. So, what do you guys think happened to Red Skull at the end of the film? Do you think that he got teleported to Asgard? Do you think that he got teleported to another realm? Or do you think that he just obliterated and died? And also, do you think that Captain America, the First Avenger, is a solid World War II movie? Do you think that it displayed the characteristics of war back then? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you nerds next time. Thanks.